Welcome to Spacefaring Civilization Film Festival Award Ceremony. My name is Masood and I'm the Film Festival Director. So this film festival is unique in the way that we focus on positive space films. So this is an inspiration that I got from Star Trek, should I say the 80s and 90s Star Trek. I'm a kid of the 80s, so now you know where the influence comes from. I started this in 2021. I'm a filmmaker like yourself, so it's grassroots. So there's 3 events this year. There's the award ceremony, which is happening right now. Then on the 9th of August, during the day, we're having a public science filmmaking workshop. That's at the Canberra Centre. Then on the 9th of August in the evening, we're going to be screening this. We're going to be screening 17 wonderful films. And there's going to be a networking opportunity, which is going to be at Dendy Cinemas, Canberra. So the future goals are to take this, eventually take this festival internationally, but small steps. We're starting from Canberra, then obviously maybe extend it to Sydney and major capital cities in Australia, then try and expand it to other centers. So we're lucky enough to have some of those filmmakers here with us. And I'm going to pass it on to our wonderful MC, John Kelly. So John, just let me get you onto the screen.
Hello, Masood, and greetings to everyone worldwide who is watching this today. And I know that we have some of our filmmakers coming from across the world too. So thank you for making the time. And really looking forward to talking to you about your stories today.
Sure, wonderful. So I'll leave it to you now. Who would you like to interview first?
Well, look, before we start that, I'll go in no particular order. But before we start that, firstly, thank you to everyone for joining in today and being part of the SFC community. And I think if you haven't already subscribed, please do. It's a worthwhile cause, as you know. Obviously, if you're here, you're interested. So if you're not subscribed already, please do so. So shortly, I'll be interviewing some of the filmmakers today. And even though it is unusual to have the award ceremony before you've actually seen all the films, you'll get a bit of a feeling of what these stories are about. So you, at the time of the actual festival on the 9th, can decide what is your People's Choice Award as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for you to get a bit of a feel for what's out there. And then we'd love to see you at the actual film festival on the 9th of August, whether you come live or online. We'd love to have you there. All right, Masood, let's start off with Scott and his project titled Edge of Forever.
Morning, John.
So just let me add him in, and then I'll unmute myself. Just give me 1 second. Go for it.
Great, thanks, Masood, and welcome, Scott, all the way from the UK at the moment. Early hours of the morning for you.
Certainly is, but very glad to be here.
Yeah, and it's great to hear an Australian accent coming out of the UK, so thank you very much for that. Okay, so Scott, your project's titled The Edge of Forever. Firstly, a little bit about what drew you first to the film festival, and then we'll find out a bit more about your project.
Right. I guess I've always been very interested in science fiction. It's a genre that's spoken loudest to me in literature and film. I remember when I first got my adult library card down in Launceston, Tasmania, and discovering there was a whole bay of science fiction shelves, and literally reading from Asimov onwards in alphabetical order everything I could get my hand on. Every Saturday we went back to the library. So having made a film with a bit of a science fiction element to it, as the video for a song I released last year, I was excited to see that there was a film festival that was looking for that kind of content.
Well, and as Masood alluded to earlier, it's not a commonplace theme in sci-fi, is it, to have something that's in that sort of direction in the genre?
No, absolutely not. And for me, I think it's a genre that really enables you to tell the most human of stories, to put archetypes that everyone can recognize and relate to, and remove all of the trappings of modern life, in the way that, you know, ancient mythology used to do. You can tell really big stories, you can tell really human stories and really character-driven stories in a science fiction setting, in the same sort of mythological way.
A positive form of escapism, then, Scott, you would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about Edge of Forever, and what the message coming out of that people should take on board.
So Edge Forever is a song that I wrote, really inspired as a call to action about the climate crisis. And for some reason, when I started working on an idea for the video, I had the idea that I wanted myself and the other musicians to be really calling people to action, and that a great way to do that would be to place the recording studio inside the International Space Station, which, as a self-taught, totally independent musician and filmmaker, not by choice, but because I can't afford to organize anybody else to make videos for me, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to do that. So it was quite a big challenge to create a story where things were happening on Earth, and we were kind of in this bubble of a recording studio inside the International Space Station, trying to get the song out there as a call to action to people.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. Looks like you've actually placed yourself in the space station as well today. So
yeah,
well done on
this
that
is one of the little
background.
clips from the video I'm using as
okay.
background today.
Great. All right, so we already got a teaser of your of the visuals there as well. Look, thank you, Scott O'Hara, for Edge of Forever. Thank you for your contribution to the film festival today.
Thank you.
And Masood, I think we'll head off to Martin, I think, for Fingertips into the Cosmos.
Hello.
Hello, Martin. How are you?
Hello, Jim.
Yeah.
Fine, and you?
I know you are all the way from Chile today, so our furthest international, maybe. I'm not sure how far UK is from Australia, and Chile, but I think you're definitely out there in terms of the distance from us today. So thank you very, very much for joining us. Martin, I suppose my first question is similar to what I've just asked Scott, but what led you to want to put an entry into this film festival?
Well, I think that in the first place is my interest and the interest of my brother Damien, the co-director, in the outer space, science, philosophy, and social science, and the field that we as culture need to start communicating those disciplines between them. And so we put together our effort and try to get this work done.
Great. And tell us a little bit about what Fingertips into the Cosmos is about. We saw a short snippet in Masood's trailer, but obviously there's a lot more to the story.
Yeah, okay. Well, Fingerprints into the Cosmos is anthropological study, an ethnographic study about amateur communities of astronomers. So that's like the history. But what it's about is the focus is the meaning of our images of the universe and the cosmos, and how that images that we usually think that are natural are in fact created, and how different communities can create different kinds of images to understand and change their lifestyles and their understanding of the cosmos. So it's about the relationship between community, society, images, and universe.
Ah, okay. So that's quite a I suppose, a collaborative approach to the way people should view this. What message would you like people to get from this project, Martin?
I think that mainly two. The one the most important, I mean, the headline is like, don't think that the way we have now, today, to think, to understand the universe is like obvious. Think, create your own versions, learn, try to see other images, and you will find new things, new ways of understanding. And the second is that those images are important, even it seems like unlikely, but it is, in the way that we have to create our own relationships between ourselves. So it's a big deal, it's not natural, and we can do so many things more. So that's my message.
Martin, that's a great message, and I think it sort of lends itself to the, I suppose, the message that Masoud's group community want to get out there, and that's about the commonality of people and our place in the universe, I suppose. So thank you very, very much for that, Martin. I think we'll move on now. Thank you again, Martin, from all the way from Chile. We'll move on to Nick, Gardener of the Galaxy. But before we do that, while you're doing that, Masoud, I'll just remind everyone that you can post questions on the YouTube channel. Please do that, and we'll come to those questions later on. So anything you're hearing from these filmmakers today that piques your interest and you want to have a bit more of a question around that, please feel free to engage into the community with us today. All right, Nick, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here with such a group of talented people. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, look, and our pleasure to have you here. And of course, another overseas attendee today, if you like, from the US. Nice to have you here too, Nick. Gardener of the Galaxy. Almost sounds like a little bit of a take on a more common movie that's out there at the moment. But that is a great title. Tell us, first of all, like I've asked everyone, what led you to want to post into this film festival as well?
Yeah, sure. So it was really serendipitous. Everything that I wanted the film to embody, everything I wanted Gardeners of the Galaxy to embody, is basically in the mission statement of the SFC Film Festival. In that I wanted to make a really positive film about space exploration. So it really just felt like a perfect match. So I really couldn't apply fast enough. Yeah,
that's great. Look, this is, I think SFC is a unique vehicle in being able to present those sort of stories, isn't it? So glad that you could join us on that. So Garden of the Galaxy, interesting title. So tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, sure. And it's funny, the original title was Gardens of the Galaxy, which is an even more nail on the head nod.
More of a play on words, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. But as I was making it, became more about Dr. Guinan, the subject of my film, and I felt it warranted a name change. So basically, the film is about Dr. Edward Guinan, who is a astrophysics and planetary science professor at Villanova University in Pennsylvania in the US. So it focuses on his life and work. It's a documentary, but it also centers on the Martian Garden, the Red Thumb Martian Garden Project, where Professor Guinan recreates conditions on Mars, and him and his students in a greenhouse, and his students experiments with growing plants in a Mars simulant soil. So the purpose of this course he teaches is to see how humans would be able to sustain themselves on Mars. Basically, what would we eat?
Right. Inspired by the potatoes from The Martian, I suppose.
Yes, and potatoes actually don't grow well. So that film actually lied to. It took some liberties. I'll say that. Yeah, potatoes not on the list of most viable plants.
I wouldn't say it's the most satisfying of plants either, but anyway, look, that is a great story, and I think the beauty of these sort of stories coming out, Nick, you'd probably agree, is that we get to highlight these individuals that are doing this sort of research, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm interested in telling personal stories that tie into bigger issues. So it's about Dr. Guinan, his work, his life. But it's also about, the relationship we have to our planet, the feasibility of us extending beyond Earth. But I also really wanted to make a film that highlights the value of someone who's dedicated their lives to science and education, like Dr. Guinan has. He's taught for over 50 years. You know, and if I may say, just to be candid, at a time when science and higher education is very much under attack in the US right now. So I think it's all the more important to highlight people like Dr. Guinan and just really celebrates the value and impact that he's had in the sciences, you know, and on his students.
Absolutely. I think that's an important point you just made, and glad you're on a global forum to bring that to the fore. So thank you again, Nick, for your contribution. And for Gardener of the Galaxy is the film. Those people who will join us at the festival, look out for that one as well. Thank you, Nick. Now, Masood, if we could go on to Alexander Wansborough.
Hello.
Hello, Alexander. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yes, very honored to be here.
That's great. We're honored to have you. And our first discussion point from Australia today. So nice to have you. Whereabouts are you in Australia?
The Central Coast.
The Central Coast. All right, lovely. And what inspired you to join into the film festival with your project?
Well, I was just tremendously impressed by Masood's pitch. I happened to see it on Facebook, and I was so glad to see it because it was just such an optimistic and positive message about for possibilities of space travel and of science, you know. And very often I think today, you know, there's such negativity around things like, I don't know, leaving the planet, perhaps to abandon it to a horrendous sort of fate. And so the possibility of a more optimistic future, more utopian future, more Star Trek future, as it were, really appealed to me.
Yeah, so look, I think some of the message, of course, from spacefaring civilization is that it's not just about what we're doing when we leave the planet, it's what we leave behind as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your project, which is called Shapes and Rockets. What's the story about? What's the project about?
Well, it's kind of, you know, I was inspired by the fact that, you know, my daughter watches a lot of YouTube and so on, and I was very dismayed actually by the standards and quality of so many animations for children. You know, they often, in my view, lacked imagination or an aesthetic sense. Everything was, as it were, almost adrenaline based, you know, very hyped up, right? And so I thought about the possibility of trying to make an art film for children, right? And especially for my daughter, right? And one that was informed by modernist visual art. You know, there's references to Lizitzky and Matisse and various other, Sonia Delaunay, various other modernist painters who I think also did have at times a kind of science fiction bent or an interest in kind of technological progress, right? You know, as well as in Matisse's case, a kind of almost ecological focus as well, you know, as being in harmony with the world, right? And so I tried to, as it were, construct a narrative that was experiential, had little traces of, I don't know, 2001: A Space Odyssey or something like that, right? Was immersive, but through the most simplified sort of visual language of modernism and modern art. So that's kind of the basis. I mean, if I were to try to, I guess, pitch the plot and do a Hollywood style trailer, right? It would be about the idea of exploring the universe not out of a sense of conquest, but love and friendship, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm not very good at doing the Hollywood trailer voiceover. I do that, but nevertheless, right? That's kind of the aim. Yeah.
Well, that's great, and I think you've shared your message from that, what you just said. But I know this is pitched towards our spacefaring civilization. You said that your daughter was an influence. Is this pitched towards a younger audience as well?
Yes, very much so. So, I mean, I think the story is told visually. There's minimal sort of dialogue. In fact, there's no dialogue. I did try to have a little bit of an educational quality for younger children. So, for example, there's, you know, a countdown and so on, right? And also, of course, there's a moral message at the core of the film. So, in that way, it's very much geared to that. But I hope that it can, because of the modernist art references, also have a kind of appeal, perhaps, adults, and it's certainly something that I hope is more immersive and quiet than sort of, I don't know, something that, you know, a parent might try to tune out and hide from, you know.
No, it sounds like something you'd love to see parents and children sit and watch together. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, my
Hmm.
daughter understood the plot perfectly. She was 5 years old and she absolutely understood it, much to my wife's surprise. She liked to joke that my daughter understood it better than she did. So
Don't worry, when they become
Oh.
teenagers, they stop understanding you. So don't worry about that.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't quite catch
So, well, happy that she's 5 years old, because when they become teenagers, they stop understanding you. So you can be grateful for these moments. Look, Alexander, that sounds like a great story and a great way to present that in terms of the way you've framed that particular project. So thank you again for your time, Alexander, and we look forward to seeing the full story at the film festival on the 9th of August in Canberra.
Cheers. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, let's talk to Masood. Let's talk to Jacob on the 100-year journey to Proxima Centauri B.
Hello, John. Thank you for having me here.
Real pleasure, Jacob. And you're from Indonesia?
Yeah, I live in Indonesia.
Great.
Yeah.
And I love to highlight the fact that we've had such a broad global community here. So thank you again for joining us from your part of the world. Okay, so your project, the 100-year journey to Proxima Centauri, Centauri B, to be precise. What led you to put this into our film festival here?
I first got involved in the festival back in 2021.
Ah,
I won an award over there. Thank you, Masood.
great.
And back then I made a video called, it was about NASA, because at the time I saw a number of big people criticizing going into space when we should be focusing on Earth. And that video highlighted the technology NASA had made, such as space blankets, baby formula, memory foam, and it also looked into the future, what else could be possible when it came to space exploration. So I like learning about the sciences, but applied to something cool, such as rockets and space habitats. That's how I got involved.
Great. So this one again is a documentary piece from you. Tell us a little bit about the background of the story and what you were trying to get out of it to share with people.
So this story follows a generational ship on a 100-year journey to Proxima Centauri B. It follows the timeline of how that would play out, but the story is more about asking questions about how such a journey would happen. So, like, which direction would the spaceship go? What happens to bacteria in a closed loop system? And at the end of the story, it asks, what would the time dilation be? Because after 100 years, it kind of adds up. And it's inspired by the likes of The Expanse, the ship Nauvoo, because there's a lot of science in that TV show. And it's not until you get onto YouTube where you actually get to learn about the sciences behind the show, such as why are the spaceships vertical instead of horizontal, like in most sci-fi TV shows. And it's things like that that get me more interested in the sciences. Jurassic Park, the book, does something similar. And yeah, that's what I try to do, is just merging the science with the stories.
And some of those sort of subtle questions that people probably have in the back of their mind about space travel, and some of those get sort of touched on in your piece by the sound of it.
Yep, I try to merge it as much as possible. This one goes quite far in the future, but I also do a lot of stories that are closer to home.
So I think you've pretty much shared what the story is about, but what do you think? What do you hope people get from it by looking at this your documentary?
I just, for me, it's what I get out of it is just learning about sciences, because I've never really been that interested in science and physics. It's not until hearing the stories like The Expanse and learning the sciences behind that, and Jurassic Park, where I've gotten more into the sciences. And I hope that other people get a bigger interest out of sciences when they listen to stories such as space exploration and cryosleep journeys.
And ask more questions. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Looks, that sounds like an intriguing project as well. It'll get people thinking a bit more, which is great, and hope that is the result you get from that. So thank you again, Jacob, for your participation in the film festival, and we look forward to seeing your piece on the 9th of August as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. And Masood, I think we'll move on to Kim. Thank you, on the art side of the moon.
Hello.
Hello, Kim. I can say good morning to you because you're on the right time frame, aren't you?
I am. Good morning.
Kim, thank you for joining us too, and I know that you're a nice supporter of Masood's community as well. So thank you for that. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to put a piece into the film festival.
Sure. Yeah. So, like Nick, made The Outside of the Moon, and then it so perfectly fit with the values and the call out in the pitch for the film festival. So it was actually one of our key talent in the film, Dr. Samuel Peralta, who discovered the festival and sent it to us. And as soon as we read it, we got so excited because it was so perfect, so perfectly fit. And I also love the whole the vision behind positive space stories. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and in my practice, you know, I mean, I really believe that stories shape culture. And so in my practice as a filmmaker, and the issues that, you know, kind of explore, always focusing on solutions and putting forward the most positive vision of what we can create as humanity. So that really spoke to me as well.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from that, like it is probably for all our filmmakers today, is that whilst you want to share a positive message, you get positive input yourself by doing these projects, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so tell us a little bit about Art Side of the Moon.
So The Art Side of the Moon is a short documentary, and it chronicles the Lunar Codex, which is an ambitious quest to put the largest global collection of contemporary art on the moon, and to store it and preserve it for the posterity of humanity, and to leave a legacy for this, basically a time capsule of our creative cultural artworks. And it's a truly global representation. And it follows this story through, it sort of chronicles that project through the voyage of the Odysseus lunar lander that was launched last year. And there's two main characters in the film. So it follows these two characters through this moment in time with the voyage from launch. One is Dr. Samuel Peralta, who's an artist, a visionary, a physicist, and who helms the whole Lunar Codex project, founded it. And the other is my mother, Margaret Ingalls, who is an incredible visual artist, and she's one of the artists that's represented in the Codex. So her work was on board the lunar lander. So that's how I found out about the Lunar Codex, and so it's both about that journey and also a personal story as well. So it's sort of it's really about celebrating the arts and celebrating the power of art and the meaning that art brings to our lives, and really, you know, brings together, you know, scientific, the kind of the human creativity. So there's the scientific innovations and space explorations, and then there's our creative expression and being able to bring that along, you know, wherever the human race goes, and create a legacy that speaks to our shared humanity. So that's really what the film is about.
Well, Kim, I think that is actually, as you said from the outset, it is a perfect fit for this SFC community, because not only, as Masood alluded to in his introduction, it's not about just the technology and getting out there into space, but it's also what we bring out there as well. So it's not just the technology, it's the art as well, right? And our creativity and our human experience. So thank you for sharing that side of the equation with us all today.
Of course. And I also just wanted to shout out to my wonderful co-writer and producer, Julia Lorsch, who's also tuned in with us today.
She's on the, I think she's on the YouTube.
She's on the YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, great. Hello, Julia. Thank you so much as well for your participation in this project, The Art Side of the Moon. Thank you again, Kim.
Thank you.
And look, our final one to discuss today is The Moon Had a Shadow with Phil Hart. So, Masood, if you could put us both on screen, that'd be fantastic. It's not our final one. There's one more to go, but we'll do Phil now. Hey, Phil.
Good morning, John.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
living currently in the beautiful township of Bright, I believe, in Victoria, in Australia.
Indeed, I'm on my way to the snow and the mountains. My favorite places on the planet.
So people on the other side of the world might not appreciate that there's actually snow in Australia at certain times of the year, and you're heading to that right now. Okay, Phil, your project, The Moon Had a Shadow. First of all, like I have asked everyone, what led you to want to be a participant in our film festival?
Yeah, thanks, John. Like some of the others, I'm an engineer now. Grew up as a teenager watching science fiction shows, but more particularly been a stargazer, an amateur astronomer, for 30 years now, and from the very beginning, always interested in capturing it on film and on camera. So been on that journey a long time, chasing it very much a lot of interest in event-based photography, comets, aurora, and eclipses particularly. And so that that journey's taken me on one adventure after another. Particularly some of the footage from the Exmouth eclipse, which I'll talk to in a moment, but it certainly feels like it could be captured from a spacecraft and has very much that sense of space footage. It's obviously captured from the ground, but yeah, I think it's on par with what they capture from spacecraft and certainly has that feel to it. So really happy to share it in that sense, and if by being part of it can help amplify and support that message that the others have talked about, the value of protecting the climate for the planet we've got on, and the value of science and the ecology and social values that it's great to be associated with that as well.
Yeah, look, thanks for reinforcing that point, Phil, because as we all mentioned during the course of today's discussions, that it's not just about what we do when we get out there, it's what we leave behind as well, right? So thank you for that. So tell us a bit more about the project, The Moon Had a Shadow.
So I've been chasing eclipses, lunar and solar eclipses, for a long time, and progressively those adventures have got bigger in scope and what I've tried to do, and pushing the boundaries, I guess, of not just amateur imaging, but professional imaging of eclipses. So by the time I got to 2017, so the footage in the video is from what we call the Great American Eclipse in 2017, and the eclipse that just touched the Exmouth Peninsula in 2023. In both cases, they were expeditions that started planning 3 years in advance, relied on a lot of support and just quite incredible amounts of gear, really. Firstly, to be taking across or buying and getting hold of in the US in 2017, and then a whole carload to Western Australia in 23. Spreadsheets of gear down to the kilogram. Getting every kilogram I could in the vehicles across the country. So very big expeditions, and as I say, really, in each case pushing the technology and the capability to produce what was and still is, leading edge amateur photography. And as I say, there's no other professional equipment really that is doing this either. Some new spacecraft now that are having a new approach, but it's just exciting, I guess, to be in that amateur community, sharing that interest in those events, and then producing what I think is stunning quality footage, and being able to put it on a big screen and share it with an audience through an event like this. And then also there's a soundtrack from the artist Jason Emraz, so it's a music video that really, I guess, just feels like this song was written for a project like this, and it's great to have that as the soundtrack, and that can evoke in people whatever their reaction to the lyrics as well.
That's great. Thanks, Phil. But your project covers a couple of the solar events, but just out of interest, how many have you actually been out to yourself?
Solar eclipses just 4, but a lot of lunar eclipses as well, which are happen a bit more regularly, and a lot of other event-based astronomy things as well. It's shaped where I live and the friends I've made over those 20-30 years. It's part of what took the first solar eclipse I saw was in Africa, in Zimbabwe, 2001.
Wow.
That led me to living in Scotland and chasing aurora up there. So it's it's really shaped a lot of the course of my life. It's not an exaggeration to say that. If there was an emissions-free way of jumping in a spacecraft and getting to every solar eclipse every year, I would do it. But it's a genuine factor for me to say, it's not necessarily sustainable for everybody to be able to travel to all these events. So I guess I choose them carefully and I try to make the most of them when I get there.
Well, thank you. Your project that actually shares a couple of those events for people who are never going to or might not be able to get to those in their own time. So thanks again, Phil. And The Moon Had a Shadow is the project. If you're coming to us on the 9th of August, whether online or live, check that one out, particularly if you have an interest in eclipse events as well. Look, before we proceed to our final presenter today, I just want to remind everyone you can do questions onto the YouTube chat, and Masood will share those questions with us at the back end. And the reason you want to stay around for those questions is because there is a prize for the most engaging question, I think, Masood. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. If you haven't asked, so we haven't got any questions yet, so I'm guessing people are shy. That's okay. What we do, we might, after this Q&A, we might watch a couple more videos. So while those videos are showing, you can think about a question you can ask.
All right. We've got one more of the filmmakers to discuss with before we proceed with that, Masood. And we have Alexander on the Griffith University, Griffith Observatory. Sorry, my apologies. Griffith Observatory.
No worries. No worries.
And nice to have you here, Alexander. Again, another one from the United States. So nice to have our compatriots from on the other side of the world there. So thank you again for joining us. Tell us, like I have asked for everyone, Alexander, what has led you to jump into this Australian-based film festival?
Well, when I first came across the film festival, it was almost a clarion call. It spoke directly to the core of who I am. From a very young age, I've been obsessed with space. Space probes, the Mariner series probes, the Viking probes, you name it. I was obsessed with it. It's just been a deep part of my life. I grew up watching Star Trek, building model rockets. I've got so much in common with all of the other presenters. Just listening to your remarks, it's just been so wonderful to hear. Phil, I'm in your boat. I filmed the Venusian transit of the sun in 2012. The solar eclipse that we had most recently with the path of totality passing through the United States was just such a special opportunity. And I grew up. My production company is called Xenomorph Films. For those familiar with the Alien franchise, that's what the alien is called in the films. So it was a clarion call. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had to figure out a way to submit my film, and I'm so thankful that it's going to have an opportunity to be shown alongside all of the other films made by these great, amazing filmmakers that are joining us today.
Thanks, Alexander. Now, the film is called The Griffith Observatory: A Civilian Emissary to the Stars. So tell us a little bit about that story and what led you to want to present that particular story.
Well, the Griffith Observatory is just such a perfect representation of the importance of civilian and municipal investment into STEM, into astronomy. It's a community resource. It's such a beautiful structure. It's an ever-present force in the lives of Los Angelinos because of its prominent view from Griffith Park. You can see it from almost anywhere in the city. It's got a very particular and unique design, and it's one of my ultimate happy places here in Los Angeles. And the opportunity to tell the story, albeit briefly, of how the facility was built and some of the amazing opportunities it offers for civilian and amateur astronomers, it seemed like a low-hanging fruit. And it was an honor to put the project together.
That's great. Look, one thing I didn't know once in your discussion there was it is a civilian-based facility, not so much a government-funded one. So it's open source, so to speak. So that's great to know. And have you been you said you walked around there quite a lot. I take it you've sort of lived in and out of the observatory in your own time.
Yeah,
as well,
I spend
right?
a great deal of time in and around the observatory. There's a lot of great outdoor areas. One can hike, spend time. It's just such a special place. And, just to piggyback on something that I heard Scott mention during his remarks, one of the reasons why I feel so connected to this festival and everybody who's participated in it, Scott said something that I've only heard in discussion with my close friends talking about science fiction films and why they're so important. It's the most special medium to demonstrate the human condition, because the human condition stands in stark relief whenever you're able to put it against the backdrop of something alien. Everything that's human, everything that we hold dear to, it's brought into stark relief. And it's one of the reasons why I love Star Trek so much. I grew up watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, all of the original series on VHS. That's an amazing shirt. Well played, John. But just to kind of bring it home, as soon as I saw the posting for this film festival, it was like a clarion call. You guys are my people, and I'm happy to be here.
Alexander, I think you made a very important point that humanity is only defined by the contrast it has against something else, right? So
right.
That's something else we're exploring, which is great. So look, thank you again, Alexander, for your contribution. And we look forward to seeing The Moon Had a Shadow on the 9th of August here in Canberra, if you are coming live to the event, along with the National Science Festival as well. It's part of that on that day. So don't miss out on that if you're coming to Canberra. But also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Masood, the film festival is streamed online as well, correct?
No, the screening isn't.
Okay.
It's an in-live person.
I'll retract that statement. So please come to Canberra. We'd love to have you come live and see us in person in Canberra.
Yep.
And meet some of these filmmakers will also be there, I believe. And of course, Masood, who's always a pleasure to meet. And I may even be there myself. Maybe not so much of a pleasure, but hopefully I'll get to see you as well.
You're most welcome, most welcome. So for those who are in Canberra, around surrounding Canberra and whatnot, before the screening, there's actually going to be a workshop at Canberra Centre, a filmmaking workshop. You're welcome to bring your family, kids and whatnot and enjoy the day and learn something, how to make a stop motion animation. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. We do have actually one question. So, yes. So Soul GK, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that, and this is a general question to all the presenters, and I'll put us in like a grid view so everybody can have a chat. What do you think is the public's perception now of space exploration? Is it better, worse, about the same? So just let me get everybody on the same grid.
So to reiterate that question is, what is the public's perception of space exploration? Whether that be one way or the other, but the perception, what's the general consensus that there is around space exploration? Maybe its value, perhaps, maybe whatever is impacting us currently in the human state.
So feel free to unmute yourself and just go ahead and talk about what your feelings are. Who wants to start?
Well, I'll start us off. How about that? I'll start us off.
Great work, Alexander.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got so many vehicles for which folks are able to be introduced to space exploration today. You've got a lot of private entrepreneurship that's happening in space. But I feel that there was a bit more of a positive feeling back when we still had the shuttle program going, some of the things that led into the shuttle program. And people seem to forget all of the various technologies and tools that are a part of our modern world that were developed specifically for space exploration. The world that we live in, it exists because of the tools they had to develop in order to put people safely into space, in order to communicate with people safely into space. And I think it's lost on the public, the connection between all of the tools that we have available at our disposal to Zoom with each other right now, to text, all of these things. These technologies were developed with public dollars in space exploration. And so I think if people had a little bit more of a connection to how space exploration has made the world that they live in possible, I think that we would have a little bit more positivity. And it would be a little bit more than just folks being enamored by, rockets landing vertically. There's so much more to space exploration than the ability to land a rocket vertically. It's a tool. It's definitely a technology that will allow for space exploration to be cheaper. But we used to have such a deeper imagination about exploring deep into the solar system, putting probes into orbit around Jupiter, putting probes on the surface of Mars, putting probes on the surface of Venus. I would like to see any space agency or any country work out the engineering problems with putting a probe on the surface of Venus and allowing it to survive longer than a few hours. We've got so much real estate and so many opportunities to explore that I think we're not fully taking advantage of as a civilization, and I hope that changes.
Yeah, great points, Alexander. Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I have a
Very good.
YouTube channel and it's only 5 years old. So I've seen a big shift happening in the last 5 years. When I started, there was a lot of positivity about space exploration. But these days, and it has shift, I feel like it has shifted. You see from the comments. And these days there's a great beast looming over everyone, and that's AI. And the whole shift has focused towards AI. And it seems like the sentiment is quite negative there, like big tech, doom and gloom. So kind of space exploration kind of gets pushed to the side, or it gets grouped together with AI. Like everyone's looking to the future and how kind of negative the sentiment is. I feel like there should be another film festival that talks about the positivity of AI and yeah, better future that AI could bring. And then maybe people might be a bit more positive when it comes to space exploration as well.
Yeah, great.
Just to put a little bit of a positive spin on it, I can't really speak to space exploration in general, but one thing I discovered is there has been a renewed interest in Mars specifically, which I found really interesting. I think the reasons for that are just like pop culture, certainly like films like The Martian. There's also the feeling that it's next in terms of space exploration, and it's the only planet in our solar system that is really feasibly habitable. While it sounds like there has been a decline overall and an interest in space exploration, I think Mars specifically sort of piques a lot of people's interests at this point in time. At least that's what I found.
Yeah, I think there's also a greater interest in the sciences behind space exploration. Maybe the idea of going to Mars and Venus might be a slightly negative, but based on all the YouTube videos, people learning about the technology that goes into space rockets and space habitats, that might be on increasing, while the sentiment about exploration might be going down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else has a comment? So generally speaking, just doing these film festivals, and this is what my belief is, that it's what you're exposed to. So if you're exposed to negativity all the time, it gets into your psyche. So that's why we need positive films and positive film festivals. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect or the film festival is perfect, but it needs the balance. So it's basically what you're exposed to. So if you're exposed to negativity all the time, that's all you're going to think about.
And you make a good point there, Masood. I think the whole purpose of this community is to have that balance. Whereas a lot of the, I suppose, commercial filmmaking, the more exploitative sort of filmmaking is about the stuff coming out of space is dangerous to us, whether it be aliens or germs or anything falling out of the sky is going to hurt us. So I think it's great to have that shift in thinking that it's not, these are stories, but this is the reality of what's really happening in space exploration and science and technology and the joy it can bring for us all. Yeah.
Okay, so that's that's I guess the formal part of the the event. Now we come to, and I'll pass it on to John again. I'll pass it on to John to announce the winners.
Okay, this is the exciting part for everyone involved. But of course, everyone's a winner. And I know it's a throwaway line, but everyone's a winner who participated here, because the fact that you shared a positive story out in the community about things that we care about, spacefaring science, but also the planet. And so you're a winner just for participating in that and for sharing those stories with us. So thank you so much for that. Okay, I have 4 awards to announce. I don't have someone to hand me the envelopes. I'm going to hand it to myself, and I thank myself for the envelope. And the first one we have is for Best Documentary. And of course, while it was a very hard choice for everyone to make, and of course there was only a handful of nominees, but that's not to say that everyone else was not considered. The nominees for the Best Documentary: Gardener of the Galaxy, the Griffith Observatory, and Pestis Milubris, which we didn't get a chance to talk about today, but they were the 3 nominees. And the winner is, I actually haven't seen these, so this is actually new to me as well, Gardener of the Galaxy. So congratulations there, Nick, for your contribution there. And I'm sure Masood will advise you of what you've won in that award as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's incredible. Thank you. Incredible honor. Thank you.
That's great. All right, you have some bragging rights now, Nick. So you use those.
Yeah, go for it, mate. you can talk about.
You want to say something about that, Nick?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. This is, once again, just an incredible honor. That's terrific. Thank you to my colleague, co-producer and director of photography, Alex. I'd like to thank Dr. Guinan for letting me tell his story. Unlike a lot of other people here, I didn't specifically have an interest in space or astronomy prior to starting the film project. But while shooting it, I definitely found myself looking up at the stars more. And then going through that process, I got my daughter a telescope for Christmas, and it's summer here, and we've been going out and looking at the stars at night. And it's just been a wonderful education, and it's just really a thrill to be a part of a festival with so many positive films, because I feel like they're often overlooked by other film festivals. So I think it's really important. So thank you.
Our pleasure, and congratulations to all the nominees, of course. And we'll move on to the next category, which is Best Futuristic Sci-Fi. And the nominees for that one, The 100-Year Journey to Proxima Centauri B, Shapes and Rockets, and Edge of Forever. And out of that outstanding list of nominees, the winner is Shapes and Rockets. So congratulations, Alexander.
Thank you. It's quite an honor. I'm very surprised and elated. So thank you so much. That's wonderful. And of course, I am so honored to be with all of these films and from the trailers. They all look so wonderful, and you've all spoken so articulately about your projects. So thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Alexander. And for the YouTube audience today, I just remind you this: just while you're hearing these awards, there's still the chance for you to vote in the People's Choice Awards if you're coming to Canberra to have a look at the film festival on the 9th of August. Okay, the next category is Best Theme Usage. Best Theme Usage. And the nominees in this category are The Moon Had a Shadow, Gardener of the Galaxy, and Fingertips into the Cosmos. And the winner is Gardener of the Galaxy. A double header today.
You.
Well done, Nick.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. This is phenomenal, and especially to be recognized among such a group of talented filmmakers. That's really special. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Nick. Well done twice. Double bragging rights. Excellent. Okay. Best Positive Space Film. Best Positive Space Film, the final category today. And the nominees, the Griffith University. I keep saying that. I apologize for that. There is actually a Griffith University here in Australia. So the Griffith Observatory, Gardener of the Galaxy, and 100-Year Journey to Proxima Centauri B. And in that final category, the winner is the 100-Year Journey to Proxima Centauri B. Well done, Jacob.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you to John. Thank you to Masood for all the hard work, not just for all the hard work in organizing this festival, but also for the focus of positivity in space and positivity of the future. It's good to be brought back and think positively about the future.
And let's keep that theme going. Thank you again, Jacob, and congratulations to all our winners. But importantly, congratulations to all the filmmakers as well as the nominees, of course, in all those categories. All right, look, that's it for me. I'm going to hand back to Masood. I thank you all for your participation today, the audience, but also our filmmakers, of course, which was a real pleasure to chat to you today. I hope I do get to meet some of you at future events. So thank you once again for letting me be part of this today. I'm signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So just some final comments before we leave you. Obviously, the film festival screening is on the 9th of August in Dendy Canberra. I want to thank all the filmmakers who joined us today and everybody who joined us on YouTube. Thank you so much. There is a brighter future and we can all achieve it together. That's what I truly believe. So thank you so much. God bless. See you next time.